Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're back on the dev server for update Wind of Change, and it's time to have a look at a new premium vehicle that isn't technically in the dev server. This is the Pz.35 Romanian version, and basically when it comes to what it says about it in the files, what we have is a rank 1 1.0, maybe event or premium that is coming to the game, but it only right now for some reason is shown on Tencent accounts, so the Chinese client accounts. So you can only see this in the actual place on those accounts, and you can see it's got this summer camouflage, which is really nice, and the standard winter one as well. But the question is, how does this differ compared to the standard Pz.35 that we have in the tree? Well, there's actually quite a few differences when it comes to like its engine, its mobility, its general actually physical model. There's a lot of interesting stuff about it, and we're going to have to keep track on this thing to see where it ends up. It might end up as an event vehicle. It would make sense as a low-tier event vehicle. It might end up as a Battle Pass vehicle, kind of like the Tyran did for the Italians, but this could be for the Romanians instead. It is also in the German tech tree right now, which is kind of interesting, since I would feel this would make a little bit more sense in the Italian tech tree, especially after some of the decisions that were made a few years ago, but we'll have to see what goes on. The Pz.35 TRM is gunned with a 37mm KWK-34T cannon, and also has a 7.92mm coaxial in the turret. You can see that it also has a 4-man crew in this incredibly cramped space, which cannot have been very nice to sit in, and also it has a gun down here as well. So basically you have this one, the MG37T, then you've got another one which sits in the lower area, right where the machine gunner is, for them to use. And then on top of this, when we look at the armor profile, it's pretty rough. I mean, it is a 1.0 vehicle, but it's 25mm of armor on the front at most, and then also on the sides you're looking at 16, with the booty being also 16 and the turret being 16 as well. So this thing ain't really going to be stopping anything when it comes to the actual vehicle itself. And the engine power that this has is 106 horsepower at 1800 RPM. Instead of the standard, I think it's 120 actually for the standard Pz.35. And then the actual transmission, you can see it can go as fast forwards as it does backwards. This has a I can't remember the specific name for the transmission, but basically it's similar to stuff like the EVGA and also the Cha25T, where you can go as fast forwards as you do in reverse, which is lovely for the vehicle itself. The vehicle is full of ammo, 72 rounds, because it has the 37 and the shells themselves are quite tiny. And modification-wise, this is a premium, so this all would be modified anyway. It has access to an APC round, a APCR round, and also a standard APC round. So the difference between them is the standard round has a little bit more penetration on unangled armor, where the one that you unlock has, well, I don't actually think it has anything better for it, really. It looks basically the same. It's actually just a smaller projectile mass. So maybe there is a reason why you unlock this one. I'm sure there is, but I can't see it from first glance. You do get access to artillery and also crew replenishment on this thing. Obviously, being a 1.0 vehicle, you don't get any of the other big factors on it, but it does have, you know, the standard camo, which is quite nice, and also the summer camouflage, and obviously all the tanks and things on the back of it. The actual tracks and the wheel system that the Pz.35 has is super interesting. How like these areas it actually kind of cups into the tracks to keep them where they are, and obviously how all of the wheels and the rollers work. It's just fantastic to look at as a general vehicle. And for test drive wise, you know, it should get the general German test drive to be able to go around it, and you can kind of see its little mobility that it has. The low-end acceleration of something like a Pz.35 is pretty good for the level that it's at, and being able to go fast backwards as forwards in this thing is kind of ridiculous. Means that repositioning is based on your crew skills pretty much, and being able to, being able to push forward and doing decent damage will be completely down to you. It also has a stabilizer for the gun, so probably a short stop, meaning that you can get accurate shots on the enemy targets as you're moving around the place, and meaning that you don't have to come to a straight standstill to be able to fire. It's probably not a very effective stabilizer. You can see here that it is useful at about 10 kilometers, and then it goes a bit wary afterwards. So definitely going at slow, or going slow, will benefit you when it comes to this thing. The APCR will give you a little bit more penetration if you need it. It gives you up to 81 millimeters of penetration, but with the loss of damage, which is a bit of a problem. But I suppose if you're up to 2.0 and you have to deal with some kind of ridiculous machine to fight, then it will sort you out, no real problem. The machine itself, it's really interesting to see how it comes into the game, right? Because when we look at events, obviously right now in War Thunder, we have the Tailspin event going on, and we also have the Tank Football event going on, which is really, really fantastic. Both events, I'm really happy to see them back. And we also normally have an April Fool's event that comes around at some point when in the future around April 1st. Now, normally there's a Build-A-Bear event with that event. So what that ends up meaning is you can normally research some of the vehicles which come out of it. Maybe this Romanian Pz.35 is one of those vehicles. Maybe it's something that's going to be part of a random starter pack. Maybe it might be a specific event introducing Romania into the game. But then again, we already have some Romanian vehicles. Maybe not as unique as this one, even though this one, it isn't truly unique, but, it's unique enough compared to some of the other ones, which are just straight copy and paste. So maybe that's the idea for this vehicle. Maybe the idea is to try and introduce Romania alongside stuff like Finland, which they've already talked about doing a kind of sub-tech tree for Sweden. And obviously you've got Hungary and Romania, which are on the outer wings as well. And with the Israelis getting their aviation and ground vehicles, stuff like this and stuff like Romania, and even other ideas like Yugoslavia, which many people have been bringing up for some reason, could easily happen where now that some of the barriers, I suppose, have been broken down by the nation of Israel in that way. So for me, seeing a vehicle like this could mean many different things. And if it comes to the game as a generic premium, I mean, that does mean that, people can have a bit of fun with it, which will be good. If it comes in as a vehicle which can have or give players at low tiers a little bit of fun and a little bit of enjoyment, then that's really good. If it comes in as a vehicle which ends up, not really doing too much, but being part of an event, I mean, at least it fills a gap, I suppose. And, if it just comes in as even a tech tree vehicle, if something is changed by it, that would be really nice too. I just really hope that it isn't used as a way of selling something. So if it is just available for a specific market of the game, like if it is just available for the Tencent part of it, like the Chinese client, that would make me very sad. I don't like exclusives, I never have. I don't like the idea of people losing out from content which they could actually get access to if they didn't have, or if it wasn't exclusively available for one platform. I really hope that's not the destiny of this thing. Any of the other ones would have been definitely beneficial for it. But it is a lovely little vehicle. We'll have to see what happens with it. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Merciless Reaper, Jerry Provolt, Mega Dino King, Professor X 1718, Orange Tail, Sakoshi Tiger, Teddy, John Ryman, Universe, Eugen's Terry, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, Moxie, B. Young, and Derek R., Barine, Lafouche, and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.